So Jon Jones beat Cyril Gane. And after the fight, we all thought, as a whole community of MMA fans, that Jon Jones versus Stipe will happen. Not just because Stipe wants it, but because Jon Jones does. Jon Jones even did an interview saying that he wants to fight Stipe. And originally, before he came back and fought Cyril Gane, he wanted to fight Stipe. He wanted to fight Stipe and then fight Jon Jones. Or my bad. Then he wants to fight Francis Ngannou. So the whole plan was Stipe in his return, then Ngannou, but obviously that didn't happen. And instead he fights Cyril Gane for the vacant title. So now that fight doesn't happen. But now it's very realistic. Because Stipe wants to fight Jon and Jon wants to fight Stipe. Not just that, but they also had a whole big moment in Jon Jones's post-fight interview. He had a post-fight interview and he calls out Stipe Miocic. And Stipe Miocic just so happens to be in the crowd. Now, if we're being real here, he actually went there because he knows that he's probably gonna get called out by Jon Jones. So now he gets called out by Jon, and they have a side-by-side showing Jon Jones on the left calling out Stipe Miocic. On the right is Stipe Miocic reacting to the call-out. And that whole thing made everybody believe that Jon Jones versus Stipe will be the fight that's going to happen next. Now, if you fast forward to now, it's not official. There hasn't been any news. Now, that made everybody believe that Jon Jones versus Sergei will be the fight that's gonna happen. And it won't be Jon Jones versus Stipe, it will be Jon Jones and Sergei. And that whole belief started from one guy, Chael Sonnen. And Chael Sonnen had this belief that Jon Jones will be fighting Sergei instead of Stipe. And he had this whole big reasoning that the schedule just doesn't work out. That if Jon Jones wants to fight Stipe, that fight in Madison Square Garden, that fight is very far away. So he believed it's up in flames. Because if a fight doesn't happen now, it won't happen later. And there's a difference between delay and cancellation. I believe this is a delay. Because everybody believes there's quote-unquote rumors that Jon Jones versus Sergei is gonna happen next. But I do wonder why. Because there's only one reason that Sergei versus Jon Jones will happen. Only one reason. That fight will be made between Jon Jones and Sergei Pavlovich. The only reason that fight will happen is if Jon Jones can't get Stipe. And this is just a whole board game. I mean, they're just playing chess here. And for Jon Jones, it's simply, if I can't get Stipe, I'm gonna go for the second best thing. That is Sergei. If I can't eat the king, I'll eat the queen. I'll go for the second best thing. And the only reason that fight will happen, Sergey and Jon, is if Jon Jones can't get Stipe. But then again, does Stipe not want to fight Jon Jones? I mean, think about that. Because if you believe that Stipe will not be fighting Jon Jones, I'm gonna have to ask you why you believe that. Because it's not just Stipe that wants to fight Jon. Jon also wants Stipe. That is his first pick. That is what he originally wanted in his return, to fight a Hall of Famer and beat him. Because he wants to fight Stipe more than Sergey. And he's made that clear for a long time now. He believes Sergey is a high risk, low reward. That there's a massive difference between fighting a guy that today people believe will beat me versus fighting a Hall of Famer, a former world champion. There's a big difference in Jon Jones' eyes. Stipe is a bigger reward because Stipe is the Hall of Famer. That is now another Hall of Famer on his record. The amount of Hall of Famers Jon Jones beat, another one will be added. And he wants that. He feels like Stipe is a bigger reward than fighting Sergey. And you can't blame the guy. I mean, have you seen what Sergey can do? So now he wants Stipe more than Sergey. And I really just don't get this belief that Jon Jones and Sergey will happen. The only reason that fight will happen is if Stipe won't be fighting Jon. But then why wouldn't he want to fight Jon Jones? And you may think, well, Stipe doesn't want that. He's old. He knows that Jon Jones will whoop his ass. And if you can remember, when Stipe lost, got knocked out cold, brutally, in an empty Apex arena against Francis Ngannou. After that happened, he wanted to have a trilogy. Because in his eyes, this guy that he beat already took what I have and took it viciously. And I want what he just took from me. Because that is mine. And that is the title. In his head, this guy that he beat already took something that he has and he wants it back. And he wanted to have a trilogy. And he even said afterwards that he's never gonna weigh in that small. That he's now fighting at heavyweight. He's fighting at heavyweight and he's weighing in smaller than all these other guys. And he told himself that I'm never gonna weigh in that small. I'm a heavyweight. I'm gonna weigh in as much as I want to. My most optimal range of weight. That is what he wanted. He wanted to have a rematch against Ngannou. Because he feels like this guy took what he has. And he has a pretty good reason for having a trilogy. Because he beat that guy already. Why can't he have another shot? Yeah, he beat me. Yeah, he knocked him out. But I also whooped his ass. So now he wants to get back something that Ngannou took and left with. And now he wants it back. And he knows that if he wants it back, he's going to have to get it the hard way. the hard road. That is Jon Jones. Because he wants that title. Because he knows this is the only opportunity that he has of becoming world champion. When you are at that age, not just in life, but in your career, he has a pretty long career. I mean, just the longevity. I mean, he's not had fights like all these other guys, but he has had a lot of them. And he knows that this is probably his only opportunity to become world champion. And he knows he cannot fumble the bag here. Because he wanted to get a title shot against Ngannou, a guy that he beat. He wanted to get that title back. Because that guy took it from him. And he didn't get that opportunity to fight Ngannou. He knows that this is his only opportunity to get it back. That is Jon Jones. And Stipe wants this. You can tell Stipe wants this. He's been working hard. He's been going to the gym. He's just been training all this time that he has had on ice. He's just getting better. I mean, when you have free time as a fighter, you generally go into the direction of getting better. When you have all that time, you're not fighting, you're not in a training camp, you have all the time in the world to get better. You don't think that Stipe is getting better with that time that he's had? Every fighter that had time on ice got better. Take a look at a guy like Jon Jones. He got bigger. He got better at it. So if Stipe wants it, and if Jon Jones wants it, then why shouldn't that fight happen? If they're both willing to fight each other, why wouldn't it happen? If there's a will, there's a way. And this is not a whole Ngannou situation where Ngannou wanted to be free more than to fight Jon Jones. Him being free meant more to him than fighting Jon Jones. He wanted to be free more than to fight Jon Jones because that meant more to him. Being free meant more to him. But for Stipe, he doesn't have anything else. He wants this more than anything. Because when you're at that stage in your career, in your head, you know, I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of opportunities to become world champion. He knows this could be his last. And if you're Stipe, you would want to fight Jon Jones more than anything else in the world. And if Stipe wants it, and Jon Jones wants it, if they're both willing to do it, well, again, if there's a will, there's a way. If you have both guys that want it, they're gonna do anything in their power. They're gonna fight anywhere, any place, at any time, just to fight each other. And if I have to predict for you what's going to happen, who will be Jon Jones' opponent, it will be Stipe.